Question number 2, Alastair Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
My question is to the Minister of Finance and asks, does he stand by his statement regarding the government's fiscal approach that the government will focus on what we can control and maintain prudent expenditure management, just as we've done to return the books to surplus?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, yes, I do stand by a statement. Over the last 7 budgets, the annual cost of new initiatives has averaged around $600 million. By comparison, the average cost of the last 7 budgets of the previous government was almost $3 billion. Revenue will always fluctuate outside the control of the government, and revenue flows are heavily influenced by international economic developments. Our focus remains on what we can control, and that is ensuring precious taxpayers' dollars are spent wisely and effectively.
Supplementary question, Alastair Scott.
What impact will the current global and domestic economic outlook have on government revenue?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we've yet to see when Treasury updates its forecast prior to Christmas. But since the budget forecasts in the middle of this year, we've seen significantly lower dairy prices, very low inflation and interest rates lower than were expected, and these are now expected to persist for some time, and a weaker world economic outlook, particularly in emerging markets. But because we're confident about the medium-term improvement in the government's finances, it's unlikely that changes in the growth forecast will change the government's fiscal approach. We are unlikely to cut services or income support, even if forecasts show lower tax revenue.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Alastair Scott.
To the Minister, what steps has the government taken to control spending?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we don't set out so much to control spending as to make sure that each dollar is spent effectively. Much of the focus of our spending is on ensuring that we invest early to assist those who are more vulnerable and need more government services, and that requires understanding our customers much better, understanding what works to meet their needs and adjusting services accordingly. And I must say this, public servants are carrying out these sorts of functions extensively across the whole range of government services, and we are starting to get better results.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Alastair Scott.
To the Minister, what other steps is the government taking to ensure ongoing improvements in its books?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, government debt levels are driven not just by operating deficits, but also by the government's capital investment program. And we're making sure that we make better use of our capital. The government share offer program has provided funding for valuable public investment without more borrowing from overseas. As at budget 2015, investments from the Future Investment Fund included $635 million in education, $684 million in health and $990 million in transport.
Question number 3, Catherine.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker. Tēnā koutou katoa.